I had no plans to make a video on this newly acquired Audio-Technica AT-LP120 professional direct drive turntable, especially considering it's been covered ad infinitum in a multitude of YouTube videos that are available should you wish to look them up. In fact, fellow YouTuber V Westlife did a review of his Audio-Technica AT-LP120 in 2009 or thereabout, and one difference that distinguished it from the newer models, such as this which is presently before me, is that it came with a DJ cartridge, something like an Audio-Technica AT2 or P2 or something along those lines. I know it's white in color, whereas the newer Audio-Technica AT95E low-budget cartridge is green. And overall, many prefer the AT95E for its well-rounded sound profile, if you could call it that. While it's no Technics SL-1200, and some will argue that nothing will size up to the immeasurable and venerable Technics SL-1200, this is one of the few options that many of us have available while looking for something new. Certainly, you can try your luck on eBay and elsewhere looking for a new old stock Technics SL-1200. However, finding the wherewithal to finance such pursuits, and so for the rest of us, we'll have to settle on the next best thing, the Audio-Technica AT-LP120 direct drive turntable, complete with its modern day upgrades, such as USB and a line level preamp. Somebody's casual impression will be that nothing is wrong with this turntable and it's perfectly fine. That's exactly what I thought until I plugged it in, powered it up, and attempted to use it. There are a myriad of scratches, but I'm not the kind of person to worry about such superficialities. As long as it has no impact on its performance, I don't see a problem with it. There's also some scratching and gouge marks over here in the plastic that resides alongside the platter. And again, it's not a huge issue for me. If I were keeping this thing and it didn't have the problems that it did, which I'm about to show you, I would take no issue with that whatsoever. Turning it on, the strobe light does work, as does the target light. And I'm sure many who purchased this turntable bought it with the intention of being able to take advantage of its USB preamp to convert your vinyl records to digital audio files using nothing more than just a USB cable and connecting it up to your computer's USB jack. As it were, I was tempted to begin transferring my vinyl records to digital while listening to them on my stereo system, sort of killing two birds with one stone, if you will. Not only was I listening to them, but I was also recording them into the computer for later archival purposes. USB cable connected to the laptop, and the other end of it plugged into the turntable's output. And when I went to record some audio and go into Audacity and record the audio, when I noticed something quite curious. We have audio exceeding negative 33 decibels, and it's obviously recording something, even though this is turned off. And you may say, oh, that might be a grounding problem or something as a direct result of not having it powered on, but powering it on, there's absolutely nothing to quell the situation. That might not be too obvious because the audio is rather faint from my laptop speakers and you're listening through my camcorder's microphone, but if I amplify this slightly, which you will undoubtedly need to do once you're done transferring vinyl, because it'll probably record it a bit too quietly, you'll no doubt hear the source of my frustration with this turntable. And believe me, it isn't as faint as it may appear or sound, because it's about negative 33 decibels in volume, and that might not seem too terribly much. Some people might say I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here. I'll go ahead and engage the tone arm, record it. Here is the audio file that was just recorded, and I'll go ahead and play it for you. Not only do we hear that weird squealing and squeaking sound, which I can't seem to understand, the audio is terribly distorted, even though it isn't clipping. And then what's odd is when you disengage the platter for a moment, or the motor, the squealing goes away and then it comes back just the same as it previously was. And if you notice something different about this turntable than that which was pictured on the box, it's because I've changed the stylus and cartridge. I've had to rob the head shell cartridge and stylus off my Gemini turntable because the one it just came with does come with the AT-95E, but it doesn't have a stylus. It's broken off. What's perhaps even more bizarre, above all else, is that there's no problem whatsoever with playing the audio through its RCA outputs, as you'll hear in just a moment. As you can hear, it plays without a problem. Regardless of the setting of the preamp, whether it's engaged or disengaged, it has no difference on the squealing. And just so we're clear that my stereo receiver isn't causing the problem, I've powered it off. The only thing that's powered on now is the laptop. And again, as I said before, turning it on changes the frequency and squealing for a brief moment, but then it returns right to its previous sound. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? As much as I wanted to like this turntable and have it become a mainstay, this seems to be nowhere as easy to fix as the Gemini PT-1000. That was just a problem with poor solder joints and a new stylus, but this is most definitely something else much more complicated. Now here's an example of this specific turntable's tracking issues when it comes to playing less than ideal copies of vinyl. Now, taking a quick glance, I don't see anything that looks terribly awful. Some scuffing here, but if you notice, take a very good look. That's toward the, well, not at the very beginning of the song, which is when the most problems present themselves. And aside from that, this is actually a pretty clean copy. Although you would most certainly not know it, judging by this turntable, or at least its performance playing this record, because I'll go ahead and cue it to play the first track. Yeah, I think that's not supposed to do that. Here's that same record on a new turntable with the same head shell cartridge and stylus, and I actually mistakenly dropped something on here and ended up scratching it. So if this turntable can play it without problem, then I know for certain that there's something wrong with that AT-LP120. Sounds like it's playing fine to me. And it's not a problem with the cartridge or the tone arm or the head shell. I made doubly sure on the AT-LP120 that the counterweight, anti-skate, and the vertical tracking adjustment were all set properly. And it's playing fine on this turntable, so go figure. And it doesn't take too long after looking at the box to figure out what happened when you see this styrofoam that's broken apart. This piece too. And both of these are supposed to be one entire piece. They're not supposed to be split apart and broken.